Have you been to the Waffle House?
No, I haven't been to the Waffle House. No,
Okay, I figured that
no.
I don't
I've
know.
been
I
to the
don't know that.
Walmart. The year I
There you
stayed
go.
Oh,
in
wow.
22, I was been to the
Sorry.
Walmart. But I've
Sorry
never
about
been
that.
to the Waffle House. Again, I've no transport. I mean, that year I stayed in Manchester. Like I had to get an Uber all the way across to Coffee County to collect the ticket. Yeah, so I think I saw the Waffle House. All right, yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to build. We don't want to build up something too much, but it is some pretty good southern, junk food. It's pretty
It's
darn
worth the
good.
trip,
Yeah, it's
especially
pretty
in the early mornings. Hey everybody, welcome back to the What Podcast. I'm Barry, that's Russ, that's Brian. We've got another special guest this week. Guys, we've gone international. We knew we were
Yeah.
big. We're international.
Yeah. in the podcast, video cast, new media landscape, you always know when you're talking to somebody who's new in it when they start looking at their limited metrics and they're like, "Hey, look, I'm getting downloads in Singapore."
Yeah.
No, you're not. Those
Yeah.
are Russian bots.
Yeah, I
That
used to always,
and
say we're big in South Korea or
then
whatever.
it turns into a joke. But I mean, I'm seriously, there's bots are all over the world, just
Right.
just jumping all over these kinds of feeds for whatever reason. I guess to malware us to death or something. But this is a real international viewer, audience member that didn't listen or watch because their friend told them to.
Right.
They just
Right.
found it through the magic of the Pacific Ocean that is the internet, while us little plankton are just. She found us. How cool is that?
She found us, and again, we've got to thank David Bruce. I mentioned that during the interview. David introduced us to Geraldine. She's our guest. She lives in Dublin, Ireland. She has attended Bonnaroo since 2019. We talk about the logistics of how that works. We
Yeah, it was a
joke.
fun conversation. I look forward to you guys hearing it. It was
Yeah,
neat.
I joke with Brian because he and I have said since we've been doing this that he and I both stress, have anxiety. Not so much anymore because we're pretty comfortable with how things are working. But until we pull in and open that car door and pop that lid on the first cold drink, whatever it
Yep.
is, it's shoulders up and tension and
Well,
waiting
see,
for the worst to happen.
I'm high strung on this kind of stuff on everything. You generally aren't, but we are exactly the same once we get to the farm. It's like we line up stress energy. Now,
Yeah.
Taco doesn't, he's sitting thinking, but these guys are nuts.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
easy,
It's
man. You
easy.
just show
It's
up.
easy.
I've never seen
Just
Russ
show up.
stressed about anything, but I always think about, they don't have my name. They
Oh,
don't
they're
have my
gonna-
name right.
They're going to
forgot my
ban me.
tickets.
I'm going to
Somebody-
get there and I'm going to find out I'm banned.
Exactly. Everything is horrible.
We found out what you did in 2017, Brian.
Exactly. And you can't park here. Yeah. So,
You jumped the fence in 2002 and you're banned for life.
Trespassing.
Trespassing, yeah.
so imagine then traveling from Dublin, Ireland by yourself to
Yeah.
a farm in Manchester, Tennessee.
It's pretty cool. You'll
Yeah,
hear all
very
about it
cool.
here
So
shortly.
we talk about that. So we'll get into it. But first, Brian, I stumbled across, as I do when I can't sleep on YouTube, a Mike Mills interview with Rick Beato talking about REM. And of course, I thought about you because you attended a show here recently, right, with some REM
Connection.
linkage. Yeah.
I'm wondering if we saw that same clip. I think I know what clip you're talking about. Yeah, Peter Buck was in town for a show with Kevin Kinney of Driving and Crime.
That's a pretty strong lineup.
He plays in the South a lot, and Driving and Crying's apex, the little they had, was 38 years ago. But Peter Buck and Kevin Kinney have always been good friends, and that started a lot between like 80, basically after the Green album in 1988, that had their most well-known would be Stand, and they kind of got him out of that college radio only orbit.
Right.
And they weren't international superstars yet. Out of Time was 91. That's when that happened. So between those like 3 or 4 years, Kevin and Peter Buck became real good friends. He played on all his solo albums, produced them, and all that kind of thing. But because of the difference in the popularity of Driving and Crying and REM starting in around 1991, which means from superstardom to none at all, there was no connection between the bands for about 20 years because it just didn't make sense in a professional environment. So seeing Kevin Kinney and Peter Buck play together,
Very
it
cool.
hadn't happened since like 1989
Yeah,
or
it's
something
very cool.
something like that.
It's pretty cool.
So they did 4 or 5 shows. If you didn't know the music well, if you're not a big Driving and Crying Kevin Kinney guy, they didn't do anything that you were going to want to hear. There was no REM music played. Peter Buck didn't even have a microphone, which I was a little slightly annoyed because Kevin Kinney's a storytelling type. And so I thought, boy, these two could probably banter really well.
Right.
I think they wanted to do music more, less television show storytelling. But just to be able to be in a small room and see Peter Buck, he's 68 now, guys, 68 years old. And he's the coolest guy in the band. Maybe Mike Mills. I don't know. Everybody's cool compared to Mike Stipe.
Yeah.
As far
sure.
as like being a good guy.
Yeah.
Or an agreeable type anyway. And so to be able to see him play for an hour and a half, that was really, really neat in a real small room. And I got a couple pictures, but they're not very good.
What was the makeup? Full band?
No,
just
it was
two of them.
just the two of them. It was
acoustic.
Acoustic. Buck played the dulcimer, the mandolin, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, but it was very relaxed and very sleepy. It was it was just a couple of guys picking like in your living room. And that's what the stage, which one of the pictures I will throw up will give you an idea what it looks like. They got a great new video board at this local club we have, so it had this really cool aesthetic. It looked like they were hanging out in your living room.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Played for an hour and a half and to a very, very attentive audience that you could tell is a bunch of old heads, a bunch of REM, Driving and Crying, old drunks, bunch of old friends. It was really, really, really neat. So to see a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer at any time is fun.
I noticed you didn't invite me, though.
I didn't. I'm sorry. It's a public place, Taco. I don't have to invite you. You can just go.
You were probably in the van somewhere camping.
But I'll tell you, Peter Buck. Joe Buck, sorry. The baseball announcer, my bad. Peter
Right.
Buck. Boy, that guy looks good. Like, he's tall, cool as hell looking still, dresses like he's got the look. That guy, I hope I age like that. That's all
I'm with
say.
you there. I mean, obviously REM was a huge band in my youth. I mean, they exploded.
Well, and I'm glad you said that because I was thinking about that the other day. I mean, that was right in your wheelhouse of your age at the time, and college radio explosion. That was really. I mean, I would accredit a lot of that to REM. That whole genre becoming such a thing.
Absolutely.
But boy, Michael Stipe, we've talked about and joked on here. Michael Stipe's a tough guy not to make fun of.
Yeah, that my older brother always calls it losing my pretension.
Losing my pretension.
That's me in the corner, losing my pretension.
That's me in the corner. That's great. That's good. Was that clip you were talking about? Barry started to do this on the show and not before, but were they talking about the Monster album by chance,
Well, it's a pretty lengthy. It's about an hour. It was more than a clip. So
okay, this is just the clip. The only reason, and I'll just super fast, is that because we have talked about Stipe and the way he talks about things. This was Mike Mills, and they were talking about the Monster record that came out in 1994, which was a more rock album more than they had ever done, kind of fitting in with the times, and they got a lot of bad feedback from their old fans about that. And Mike Mills said something like, well, all they wanted was Out of Time and Automatic for the People 2.0, and we weren't going to give them that.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, Michael Stipe is just, that was Mike Mills saying that. I was like, Michael Stipe has bled right into you, man.
Right.
We weren't going to give them what they wanted.
Well, and the big thing when they came on, when they hit, was you couldn't understand the lyrics. And I don't know if you know this, but Stipe was like, you know, whatever you think you hear, that's what you should hear. You know, it's like it's art. And then after a couple of albums, he came back and said, "You know what? I probably should enunciate the words so people
Yeah.
can understand."
Well, that was an era.
It was a big deal.
As everybody knows, my favorite band, Pearl Jam. That was an era of mumbling. Was
Mumble.
kind of the thing, which
Right.
it is. Look back on it now, really.
That's what the album Murmur. Everybody said they
Yeah.
called it mumble.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
Anyway,
that was really fun. And outside of that, I am happy it's February, and we're finally getting closer to spring. The online jokes
is.
everywhere were the January's been so long, or that was a long year this past January.
right.
To me, it just disappeared like they all do. But I'm happy to have February here.
Unfortunately, Phil saw his shadow, so we're looking at 6 more weeks of winter.
Oh, is that what happened?
Whatever. Didn't I see
It was
140
Groundhog
days?
Day.
Are we less than 140 days till the farm?
That sounds about right.
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's
yeah.
right. I think
I saw a
it.
countdown number the other day too. I think it was in the 130s. Yeah, it'll be here before you know it.
All right, so we have, as I've teased before, guys, we had a busy week. I bet I've gotten half a dozen or just a few under a half a dozen emails from people who are going to come on the show here soon, including Geraldine, who is our guest today. We've been talking with her for quite a while to make this happen, and I'm really glad we did. It was a great interview.
Live from Dublin, right here on
Live
the
from
show.
Dublin.
Yes.
I hope she's 5 hours ahead, so it was an early evening from her. I think she was on the way to the pub, if I understand. So
Yeah, I'd get along with Geraldine just fine.
she's awesome.
I think so too.
Hope you guys enjoy this interview because we sure did. Here you go with Geraldine.
Yeah, and remember, she requested not to be on camera, so that's why you won't see her.
Correct. Yeah. She didn't want to be, so that's fine. Glad to have talked to her. So here we go.
Here we go.
Hey, Geraldine, how are you?
Hi, Barry, Brian, Russ. How are you?
We're
all-
doing excellent. Thank you so much for joining us for such a far away distance.
Yeah, I'm in Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin, Ireland. That's what we love getting into the weeds. We love the sausage making. So my thoughts, what I want to know is how a girl from Dublin gets to Manchester, Tennessee. Not just why, but how.
Oh, how? As in physical transport and
I'm kind of curious about that.
yeah, it's kind of torturous. All right. I have 2 flights, usually to maybe Chicago or Boston, and then I change on to Nashville. Then I normally arrive on a Tuesday and stay in Nashville for Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and then head to Murfreesboro on the Thursday morning. And then it's a shuttle to the site.
So let me set this up.
Let's back up a little bit. And what years were we talking about and all that? Go, Barry. This is your account. You go ahead.
Yeah, let me set this up a little bit. So, a friend of the show and photographer to the stars, David Bruce, sends Russ and I an email or a text. At the Monday, wasn't it, Russ? After Bonnaroo, and said I was on my way out and I met the coolest girl from Dublin, Ireland. And I don't know how you guys started talking, but if I remember right, he said she listens to the show. She'd be a great guest, and he sent me your contact information. And I reached out, and because what? A girl from Dublin, Ireland is going to Bonnaroo. And not your first, right? You've gone a couple of times?
Yeah, I started going in 2019. And then, unfortunately, COVID happened for the next 2 years. But I had my ticket, but it rolled over, and then the storm. But I wouldn't have been able to get in anyway because of the barring order and the COVID. So I was kind of glad when it used to roll over. So then I came back in 22 and 23 and 24. So I've done 4 years, and hopefully 25 will be my 5th year.
Real quick, just so I'll forget this. So for the 2021 that was canceled because of the weather, at that point, were travel restrictions because of the pandemic still so tight that you wouldn't have been able to travel? Is that what you just said? I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
Yeah, they were still in place on the 2021 one. So it wasn't until the 2022, and I was traveling on a Tuesday, and I could have traveled all right, but I would have had to do the test. So I'd
Yeah.
have to do the test within like 24 hours, and that'd be of landing like in, say, Chicago. So I had to do it like right up the night before and then get on the plane and make sure it was in the 24 hours. But that Friday, they announced the lifting of the restrictions, the Friday before that weekend.
Huh. See, I mean, COVID feels like it was just the
I
other day,
know.
but it's actually
Yeah.
been a little bit, and I forgot how long the travel restrictions were. So that's
Yeah, they went
wow.
on right up to that weekend in June. Well, I mean, you could still travel, but you had to do the test. And obviously, if you were positive, you wouldn't have been able to board the plane.
Yeah, so it's still even difficult 2 years later, but okay,
Yeah,
cool. That's
yeah.
interesting.
So obviously,
If
I
we
didn't
jump,
do the test in case I was stopped, but because they were lifted on Friday.
if we jump around, apologies, but did I tell the story right? You basically, it was Sunday late when you ran into David. Is that correct?
No, it was actually Saturday night. We were
Okay.
both at the Idol show.
Okay.
So the
Yeah.
late night Idol show, and I think I was on the rail. Well, not quite in the mosh pit, but on the rail. And just after the show, he asked me, did I enjoy it? And we got talking, and then he went to introduce himself. And as soon as he spoke, I said, oh, I know who you are. And he said, how do you know who I am? And I said, oh, I listened to the podcast, or the What Podcaster. And he said, yeah. And then I think he copped onto the accent as well. But I wasn't from.
He's pretty sharp that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get much past him.
This was probably what, 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Isn't
So,
that something? Isn't that
I mean,
something?
I think I didn't know about you guys in 2019. It was when I came back that I found the podcast, and then during those 2 years that we couldn't travel, it kept me going and listening to you guys.
Nice.
2 years of a Bonnaroo podcast with no Bonnaroo.
With nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the show
I
about
wasn't
nothing.
around for those days.
I knew. Yeah, no, you made the odd appearance on the
Yeah,
show.
I'd pop in every now and again. It's like,
And
please.
your
we need
name
to
would
talk
come
about
up. Your name would be mentioned.
That's
The
right.
famous Brian.
I forgot about that, Russ. We did
Yeah, it
2
wasn't
years
weekly,
of a show
I think.
about things that didn't happen.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
right.
That's
It
funny.
might have been weekly. Was it monthly, you guys,
No,
or maybe
no.
It was random.
random? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did the virtual podcast. Yeah, we did the virtual Roo.
Yeah, that was a good one, actually.
That was good, actually. Yeah, even though it was like
So,
midnight at 4:00 in the morning at my time.
yeah. So for
Yeah.
people again listening, you're 5 hours. So we're recording, whenever you're listening to this, whether it's morning or night, whatever. But for us, it's a Sunday morning, about 11:15. So it's 4:15 where you are in Dublin. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, 4:15 on Sunday. It's
So
actually a
let's
bank holiday weekend here, so we're off tomorrow.
let's go back to 2018 or early 2019, whatever. Why Bonnaroo? Do you do a lot of festivals? I mean, and we're going to get into that. Do you do Glastonbury and all of that? But
No,
why Bonnaroo?
Okay, I've never done Glastonbury. No, Bonnaroo I kind of discovered on YouTube. I was around. I'd say it was 2013, and I was into Alabama Shakes at the time. Seen them a couple of times in Dublin, and I was just YouTubing randomly, and I saw the performance of Bonnaroo, and then I investigated. I'd never heard of Bonnaroo, and Bonnaroo is not well known over here at all.
I'm sure.
No, it's not. No, people know Coachella, and they obviously you're going to a festival, you're going to Burning Man, and you're going. It's not a music festival as such. You have to explain. Probably Lollapalooza is known as well, but that's about it. So I don't think anytime I tell people I'm going to Bonnaroo, they've never heard of it. It's amazing. I find it because obviously I got into it then and watched other performances that I could find on YouTube. Originally, when I was younger, I always wanted to go to Austin, Texas. Yeah. and to Southwest by Southwest. And then I just kind of fell in love with Bonnaroo with the look of it. And I had been to Nashville before. I had been to Nashville once before, so I knew Nashville, well, a long time ago. And it was also maybe a chance to go back to Nashville and to incorporate Nashville and then go on to Bonnaroo. I hadn't a clue where I was going to stay, not a notion. I knew the tickets were going on. Yeah, well, and every year, well, then financially, you had to kind of think about it. So then the tickets went on, used to go on sale on Black Friday. So that Friday, I normally go for a couple of drinks. And I was thinking about it all day. And when I came back home that evening, I just went and bought the tickets.
Yeah, a
to
good
what I
shot of
seen
whiskey
on
will
impulse. Yeah.
a good shot of whiskey will
A
loosen
shot
up that wallet.
a pint of Guinness, yeah, a couple of Guinnesses.
Sounds like you guys do Black Friday just like we do in the States. Have some drinks. Start buying stuff.
Well, I mean, it's great.
Yes.
Like there's a layaway plan, so I could investigate. Like I just had to put a deposit down, and then see what I do after that.
Well, Geraldine, really fast before you might have already said if you did. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to follow along here. Was there something from Bonnaroo that was there one band that you were a fan of that made you start looking that direction, or did you just stumble on a festival you were so enthralled with the way the festival looked, or was there music you were looking for specifically to make that decision to come to the States?
I think it was music, yeah, and the number of bands. Like we do have festivals here in Ireland, but like
so just the quantity of it,
it's the quantity, yeah,
and quality, yeah.
And also like a lot of the American bands, you know, you might get one or two headlining a festival, but not as many.
I'm trying to imagine Alabama Shakes in Dublin. I love that idea, especially at that time.
That was.
I mean, they were massive at that time, but they were so different, especially then.
Yeah, I remember that they played a bank holiday Monday in Dublin, or it was a bank holiday weekend. I didn't have a ticket actually, but I remember going outside and buying a ticket from somebody, one of those that had a spare ticket, and Brittany was standing outside the venue. She was a lot younger then. She did actually. I think she went to Kinney. It was a Roots festival used to be on that June bank holiday weekend.
She's talking about Brittany Howard.
They played there as well. And actually, a guy I knew then actually was doing sound down there, and for some reason he connected with them, and he went on tour with them.
Oh wow!
I think he lives in the States or in the UK now.
Are you a camper?
No, I don't camp. It's.
I like you more and more as this goes along, Geraldine. Neither am
I know.
Taco just got back from his 20th trip in the last.
Neither am I, technically.
Yeah,
really.
I just got done camping.
Well,
year.
It'd be I'm a solo traveler. Like I go on my own. So you know, the logistics of even having to organize to camp and wouldn't, and I wouldn't have any transport anyway.
That was my next question. Is it unusual for you to go out by yourself on a trip like this? I mean, obviously, Dublin to Manchester, I'm guessing is not normal, but is it unusual for you to strike out on your own and just go do something?
A weekend trip or something? Yeah.
No, it's not unusual. No. I mean, I've been going to gigs since I was on my own since I was about 18. You know, and I've always loved music. Okay. So even when I lived outside Ireland, like I'd go to bands. Like during COVID, for example, we probably shut down longer than you guys, so a lot of the venues were closed. So if I could, like go over to the UK was not quite as restrictive. So if I could and had the money, I'd go over to see a band over there.
Okay, so Brian struck out in 2002 up to Manchester on his own with, I think you had a ticket or you didn't?
I did not have a ticket.
Did not have a ticket. My first year, I mean, I spent 6 months hyperventilating over what to pack and what not to pack, and I'm 55 minutes away. So what's going through your head when you're thinking I'm going to a 700-acre farm in the middle of Tennessee in June.
Was that 3,000 miles away or 5,000 miles
Yeah,
away?
might
How
as well
far
have
is
been
that? I
a
don't even
million.
know.
I won't say I wasn't stressed. Yeah, I was stressed. I'm not the best at airports and travel or timekeeping or catching a flight, and then you're worried about you're going to connect the connection. And the first year, 2019, it was made a little bit easier for me because there was a shuttle service as part of your hotel package, which I discovered. So there was you paid for your hotel in Murfreesboro, and there was an organised Bonnaroo sort of affiliate company, Event Logistics, I think they were called, who ran a bus every hour, say from 11 in the morning till on a Friday and Saturday, coming back at 5 a.m. in the morning, which was great. And the other thing you get stressed about as well is when you get a ticket, your wristband arrive. So the first 2 years, they didn't actually post them. They don't post the international ones. So you had to collect it at will call, which is in.
No.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I don't like that.
I
2
mean, that was
blocks from my
That's what I'm
stress.
saying. That's us.
That was stress. But the first year, 2019, the event organizer for that shuttle service, he was in contact like about 3 or 4 weeks. I think he had to change my hotel. They were overbooked or something. So I explained that I was stressed about the tickets, so he collected it for me. So when I arrived, they actually had a table at Nashville Airport, and they would direct you to where the shuttle was. Yeah, but I think I stayed overnight and then came back to the airport the next day and got the shuttle. And then when you arrived in your hotel, they had the armband ready for me, which was they were very good. Yeah. Second year, 22. 22 was not quite as sold out, so I was actually lucky enough to get a hotel in Manchester itself. But it was late; it was April, I think, before I booked it. So again, stress: where am I going to find a hotel? How am I going to get from Murfreesboro to Manchester? But I stayed in was it the holiday conference in as you go just opposite the Walmart there in Manchester.
Right.
We know it well.
You know, well, yeah. So that was quite handy, yeah. But it was, but again, I remember getting they were still, Bonnaroo were still running the buses, the shuttles from Nashville Airport. So I went out to the airport, got the shuttle, and I asked the guys to drop me off at the hotels. And it was the guy's first trip, I think. So he said he had to go into the campsite first. So we went into the campsite, and but one of the organisers in the campsite said, no, we can't drop you off for insurance purposes. So there I am in the middle of the campsite, just near Production Road there, with the suitcase and the backpack and my hat and coat. And I'm going, oh my God, how am I going to get to? And I didn't have a phone service either. I wasn't very organised the first 2 years with the phone.
Bring us your poor, bring us your tired. We promise the tickets will be here. We promise you'll have a place to stay.
Oh yeah, I still.
You are brave, Geraldine. You are brave.
So there I was standing in the middle, because the guy wouldn't drop me back on the bus. I was standing in the middle of Production Road and kind of looking a bit lost. And a guy in a Jeep, a young guy in a Jeep, stopped coming out of that would be the workers' car park there. And said, "You're going to go." So he was saying, put your case in the. Oh, is it what do you guys call it? We call it the trunk, the boot.
Yeah,
call
the
it
boot,
the
trunk.
The boot. Okay.
Yep.
So I said I couldn't lift it; it was too high. So he wasn't too happy to get out of the car. But as soon as I got in, he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Dublin, Ireland." And he said, "I knew when you said trunk, you were not." my grandfather is from Dublin, Ireland.
Oh wow! See, there you go. Bonnaroo.
Yeah, so there you go. So he drove me right.
Degrees of separation, yeah.
Yeah, he drove me right up to the hotel. I was in Dublin a year ago for my 21st.
I have to say I'm proud of this is how much Brian Stone has grown because this is the kind of story that would have put him in a fetal position on the floor a couple of years ago.
That's not
All
totally
right,
fair.
maybe I'm exaggerating, but it
Not
would have
all.
stressed me out too. That
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
I mean
imagine.
the very first
Yeah,
year
no,
too
it would have.
in 2019 I missed the shuttle. You know, I missed the shuttle coming back my first night. Um, it was a Thursday night, so the watch stage wasn't open. Um, and when I arrived there, there was three people got on the bus. The shuttle used to like all those hotels are beside each other in Murfreesboro, and they'd stop, at each one. And three people came on the bus, husband and wife from Knoxville, actually, yeah. Stacey and Jerry, and they were talking to me and like again, you've come all the way from Ireland, and when I came in or when I was dropped, I was talking and I never paid attention how I got in. So that night, the bus was coming back at 3 a.m. because it was Thursday night, and I couldn't find the bus. I just couldn't find because the watch stage was all
You're
closed
right,
off.
Barry.
It was all closed off, and I'm walking around the whole of the hoarding.
Tapping
we
out.
had come
I'm
in.
I'm done.
In those days, the bus used to stop on Production Road, and you come in at the back of between the Which and the Watch stage, yeah. And but at night on the Thursday night, it was closed. And I couldn't find it. And of course, nobody knew what I was talking about. And I was just like walking around, I go, this is the campsites. These are the campsites.
Yeah. So in 2009, my wife, the one and only time, came up for one night, and she brought bags full of stuff, food, whatever, her sleeping, and had that same experience, except she couldn't catch a bus, a shuttle, because they were transporting artists. And they would transport artists one at a time, and they wouldn't let a fan or a guest on, just the artist. So she sat there for an hour, and then they dropped her off. I know exactly where you're talking about with her bag. She looked like she just moved to Los Angeles to become a movie star.
Planes,
or something,
trains, and automobiles.
Exactly.
There,
Oh yeah. I mean, I eventually. Yeah, it's I eventually they used to run the buses to Nashville, so I tried that. Can I get a bus to Nashville, and drop me off on the highway? But of course, they don't do that for insurance purposes either. So
I was just
one of
gonna say, it
those.
was the year it rained so bad I couldn't get my car out to go get her because there was mud back in the campsite where we were. So, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're grand. So I think I got one of those. Well, they're not. The shuttle service is not just for the artists, but for the workers on the site, maybe to their hotels. So it was a nice woman driving the shuttle, so she let me on. So she brought me to the nearest motel. That was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I still didn't know how I was going to get back to Murfreesboro. And there was this young girl behind the desk in the motel, and she actually she was probably mid-20s. She actually had lived in Dublin. She kept telling me all these horror stories about Bonnaroo. Oh my God, her brothers wouldn't let her go there. It was a dangerous place. So it was unbelievable. But anyway, eventually I got a taxi. Yeah.
Wow.
Don't believe everything you hear.
Right.
No, I certainly didn't. It was weird, but I could. The taxi or the cab arrived. Sorry, it was a local Manchester cab company, and the lady arrived, and she brought her husband with her. And I'm going to be kidnapped here, in the middle of Tennessee at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Rural America.
A small car with like the husband and wife in it. And I was also on a budget because my wages weren't going to come through till the next day or to that weekend. And I was going, oh God, I can only spend so much. But anyway, we got through. I think after that day, I survived. So the second day to the site, as soon as I walked into the watch stage, I knew I really felt at home. Yeah,
it was all worth it.
It was all worth it. I was forgotten about it. Yeah. So I have missed shuttles again over the years, but I managed to get back each time.
How many times, Russ and Brian, have we heard people say, the horror stories? I spent 14 hours in the parking,
Our
and
contest winner last year.
yeah, but I
like,
love it and I'm going back.
It never ends. Like I mean, it's a hard weekend. That's the first thing I preface. Anybody knows nothing about them. Like, it's a really tough weekend. You got to be ready for it. And most people are, if they know what they're getting themselves into even a little bit. It's always a fun story. And the in some answer to the question, whoever you're talking to, is it's all worth it.
It's worth it. I'm going back. I love it.
I want to do it again. Yeah.
It never deters people.
What was that moment, Geraldine? What was it when you were like, I love it, I'm going back?
Yeah, I'm here. This is my place.
Well, it was the second day that I went into the festival. It was the afternoon. It was 2019. The Luminaires or somewhere playing. And I just felt when I walked through, I was heading to one of the tents, I think, that I really love this place. Yeah, this is everything that I thought it would be.
And so, how many years have you been, Geraldine?
I've done 4 years.
4 years. So 19, 22, 23, 24. So four in a row then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more or
So
less.
you are very, very dedicated. Do you still do this solo? Have you created a network, a satellite network of sorts over the years? I mean, eventually you can't get lonely at Bonnaroo if you don't want to, but have you created a community kind of on your own?
I suppose the first year, I remember I met those people from Knoxville and they invited me to join them. But I kind of just did I didn't want to cramp their space. And I actually really liked that couple from Knoxville. They were with their friend from California. And there was usually 4 of them went. They said they'd gone for 5 years. I actually have never seen them since COVID though. But the person that was missing, Joan was her name. They had a totem with her face on it so she could be there in spirit. Even that fascinated me, But I didn't keep it or hadn't got a contact for them. And I've never seen them again there over the next 3 years. 23, then I met a girl from Atlanta. Yeah, we keep in touch all the time.
Very cool.
Yeah. Last year I've met a person from Wisconsin and another girl with her daughters. From Atlanta.
Are you like us that you talk about this all the time? Do
I bore people, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are your workmates tired of hearing about it?
Yeah.
Like, that festival that you've only kind of heard of? Let me tell you all about it.
Even before I went in 2019, and I was showing some of the workmates the Bonnaroo code. They said, are you going to join a cult?
We have a secret handshake and everything.
Maybe I will.
Oh my God! I think I've bored people with but I think was it maybe a year ago in the bar that I drink in. There was Americans in one day, and I can't remember what state they were from, but I mentioned Bonnaroo to them. And the barman from Dublin said, I was there. I was in Bonnaroo. So he was the first person I met in Dublin that had been to Bonnaroo. He had lived in the States at the time and he was there 2014, I think. So I call him, he's my one fellow Bonnaroo in Dublin.
So when you're at your bar and you start talking about Bonnaroo in maybe 2019 or any year, what is it you tell people? What is it you tell them why you love it so much?
Usually the music, yeah. Oh, the weather, of course. The weather helps as well.
Really?
Yeah. Compared to Ireland.
Said no one ever.
That's not what anybody says here.
Oh, I know.
I like it actually. I do like hot weather, but it's generally not what people stop or start with. Let me tell you about the weather.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like for years, Glastonbury used to be washed out, but I mean, it's been good the last. Mm-hmm. It's been good actually in Glastonbury. Well, I mean, I only watch it on the TV, but because they show it on the BBC here, they show it the whole weekend.
We do got to remember, guys. Sorry, that the weather over the UK and surrounding areas
In
is
Ireland.
significant. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I know you're not in the UK, but it's significantly different than it is here in the South and in the States. So I could see the
It
the
can be wet.
fascination with the difference of
the
it.
appeal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair.
so
That's fair.
so it can be wet and mucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And to me, I actually loved the first year. I loved this and that tent. Yeah, I loved the tents. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the crowd surfing, everything. Well, not that I was crowd surfing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The other thing that surprised me as well was there was no queues. There was no queues at the bars.
Right, lines. Yeah, like,
Yeah, we call those
like
lines.
lines. Yeah.
No lines. Sorry. Yeah. There was real toilets. You know, everything was very clean. Yeah, very clean.
In 2019, those would have been pretty new at that point. Maybe not brand new, but pretty new.
Compared to festivals that it was at when I was a lot younger. Yeah. And even like we would have daily, you know, we'd have, I would go to outdoor venues during the summer for concerts here. Yeah, no lines at the bars.
So you mentioned before going that you mentioned the Bonnaroo code. Did you feel that?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly. You know, people just didn't throw things on the ground. Or sorry. I also loved the fact, you know, it was promoting the inclusion, diversity, and you know, and the different genres of music.
We still do that in some places around.
Yeah, we won't go into that now. Yeah. Yeah, and the whole ethos of looking after the farm and the community. You can see it. I mean, like the last couple of years, I used the jam tracks. You know, when the shuttles now drop you off at the West Toll Bridge, so you still have to make your way from there into Bonnaroo. So even when you're on the jam tracks, you get talking to people. Yeah, you can see the friendliness and I've met people from every state. I feel like I've met people from every state there. Yeah.
I'm asking the same question different ways because I'm fascinated. So, was it what you expected? Was it better? Was it right at it? I mean, because I can only imagine, you know, you're whatever, like Brian said, 8 million miles away, and you find this thing on YouTube, and you think you want to go, and you had to have some assumptions, perceptions.
Maybe some reservations.
Yeah. Obviously fears. Was it? And you keep going back, so I'm guessing it was fun. It is fun, but
I suppose the fears were how I was going to get there. Yeah, how I was going to get there each day. That was taken away from me in 2019, but then it still was back then in 22. Music-wise, it lived up to my expectations and beyond. And what I wasn't expecting then was all the friendliness and the how well it was run, the sound, everything. Yeah.
So how have you done your accommodations from 19 to 24? You talked earlier about how you were doing the hotel kind of package and shuttles and stuff. Have you stuck to that strategy, or have you changed up how you've done the accommodation? Do you camp more? Do you do Do you do both? How do you do it more recently?
No, I still don't camp because just logistically it's too hard.
Too hard for traveling.
Yeah, it's too hard for traveling. Maybe if we're with people or we're traveling with people.
Yeah, but you can still find you a satellite camp. You can pop in and have a drink or a game of beer pong or whatever it is. You know, they'll always welcome you.
So the second year, 2022, I stayed in Manchester. So I Ubered every day to the festival. And there was no difficulty. I don't tend to go. Yeah, I don't tend to go, you know, till 4 o'clock, 4:30. I don't. I'm a night person, so I'll stay till the early morning of the hours of the morning, and the heat. It's not as warm then, obviously. It was difficult getting out each night back to the hotel.
It was difficult, you said. It was?
Yeah.
Just
so
getting out of there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, when I hadn't got the phone that year, it wasn't. got it
Yeah,
set up.
we kind of glossed over that. You were here, you were there without a phone
Yeah.
No,
at
I
any
had a
point.
phone, but I mean, I had a phone that I could use in hotels and the Wi-Fi, you know, but I hadn't got the SIM card for the
Oh my God, I don't even think, dummy me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's,
International SIM card, yeah.
yeah.
international SIM cards, yeah, which I did. I could have organized, but I didn't.
Well, why would you?
Why? Yeah, it's great. It's the feeling of not getting contacted at work, by work or anything. Yeah, it's freedom. But it was a
Yeah,
hindrance.
until
It
it's
was a
not.
hindrance. That second year, all right.
All right.
Third year,
along-
I've sorted it out. So I do a deal. Yeah, I pay so much a day, and I have full coverage. Yeah.
Okay, so along those lines, one of the things we love doing are the tips for people. So if I'm traveling internationally coming to Bonnaroo, what are your top 5
Yeah.
tips? Like we've talked about, how to pack your cooler and all. You're obviously not doing that.
Those tips don't do any good
Don't
for
do
you.
a good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you, if you had a friend coming or someone else from, overseas,
Anywhere, yeah.
what are your tips?
Well, I suppose it's different for me because I'm staying in a hotel, so you don't really have to bring yourself and whatever you need. I would
Yeah, but it's more-
recommend not flying straight in on a Thursday and going straight to Bonnaroo. The night before, like the Wednesday, is a better time to travel, or just to give yourself that night rest. But I mean,
What are you packing this year that you didn't pack in 2019 or vice versa? What do
less.
you less? Yeah. Okay.
Less.
Oh,
Less is more. Less is more.
Less.
Yeah.
You don't need all the stuff.
Keep it simple, stupid. Keep
Keep it simple, yeah. I mean, I think the first year, yeah, go to a festival, I bought some new stuff, but no, you don't need it. Enough. It does get a little. I always find the first day, yeah, after 12, it gets a little cool, all right. The other thing I find strange when I go to the States is when you do go to buy a drink or whatever, yeah, you have to show your identification.
Yes.
Yeah, we pretend to care about stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes us feel
Oh
good.
my God.
It makes
So
us
like
feel
there it
good
was
about
for the
ourselves.
first 4 days.
To harass other people.
Bringing my passports because I didn't have a driver's license. So every time I went to buy any alcohol or whatever, I had to show my passport, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
All right. Have you been to the Waffle House?
no, I haven't been to the Waffle House. No,
Okay, I figured that.
no.
I don't
I've
know.
been
I
to the
don't know that.
Walmart. The year I
There you
stayed
go.
in,
Oh, wow.
in 22, I've been to the
Sorry.
Walmart. But I've never been to the Waffle House. Again, I've no transport. I mean, that year I stayed in Manchester. Like I had to get an Uber all the way across to Coffee County to collect the ticket. Yeah, so I think I saw the Waffle House. All right, yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to build. We don't want to build up something too much, but it is some pretty good southern, junk food. It's pretty
It's
darn
worth the
good,
trip, especially in
You know?
the early mornings. What's the best show? What are the shows that you have stood out? And then, of course, what are you looking forward to this year?
I'll just go back. Sorry, the last 2 years I've stayed in Murphy Street and I use a private shuttle company. Sorry, that was I didn't answer. Yeah. So they
Figuring out a little bit more. See, these are the tips they're
That's a good
weaving
tip.
in.
Yeah.
there,
So those guys are not
Uber,
they're not
shuttles.
affiliated to Bonnaroo, which is probably a little, if Bonnaroo are advertising the hotels, they don't have the corresponding shuttles. So
There's
these
just
guys-
not many. There's just so few, so they don't. They have no
Yeah.
trouble getting them sold, so they don't make it like flashy. Come check this out. It is there, but there's just so few of them. But yes, over the last, let's talk about for just a second, Geraldine, like the last 4 years, all your trips, some of your favorite shows, whether they be tiny or large from the last half decade.
Yeah, I suppose my standout for 2019 and was the two headliners, Childish Gambino and Post Malone. I wasn't expecting. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew of Post Malone, but I didn't really. They blew me away.
And Childish, obviously, everybody loved that.
Mhm.
Yeah. 22, I sort of loved music wise because it was more the Goose and.
Goose. You were in early on Goose, Geraldine. Look at that.
Well, I
Early.
discovered Goose during the virtual room, actually. Yeah, that's where I discovered
You-
because
as we all did.
And
Yeah.
now the lore of the show, Geraldine discovered Goose. Period. Sentence is over.
Yeah.
And they
Who
came.
discovered Goose? Geraldine.
They came on their first European tour in 23, the end of 23, but they didn't do Dublin. So I went to see them in the UK, and I saw them on a boat in Bristol.
Wow.
Well,
See,
yeah.
by that time they were starting to make their ascension, though. You go back to what year did we just say? Did you say 22? Yeah, see,
That was 22, yeah.
They were that was just starting.
Okay, and it's
to me,
amazing. It's the same. It's the same with Billy Strings. Like when they come over to Europe, Billy Strings, I think, has been here twice. They have a huge American fan base that come with them. Unbelievable, yeah.
That virtual Goose set that was it. That was everybody talked about that one. That was huge.
Mm. War on Drugs with that year as well. King Gizzard, yeah.
Yeah, and and any others from the last year or two?
From the last year or two, I think last year I got to so my Morning Jacket, of course, and the year before, was in the pit for the which stage.
You could have been standing right next to Barry and didn't even
Probably
know.
were, yeah.
No,
Probably
I think
were.
who else? Sorry, last year
No,
Idols
that's
were
fine.
my
I mean, just
Idols
throw
were my
away questions,
standout
fine.
gig last year, even though they were an English band and I had to go all the way to Bonnaroo to see them. but I've seen them since. Yeah, I saw them there last October in Dublin again.
All right. And did you buy your ticket for this year already? And did you buy it before the lineup?
I did, yeah. I know. I still do it. Like the following years, there was the Black Friday. It's changed now.
So it's not about
23
the
changed.
lineup.
It's not about the lineup. No, I mean I do the layaway plan. So if anything changed between this and I won't stand to lose everything.
They got you.
Yeah.
I love it. They got you.
Yeah. So you just put. I was actually like this year. I just have to put $25 down in November. Yeah. So it was in the first 1,000. So I got the PayPal, pay by PayPal, and you get your deposit back. So I was quite chuffed with that. Being one of the first 1,000 to buy the ticket. Wristband.
Wow.
So
who are you excited to see?
Yeah. So what about this year's lineup? What are you thinking? What standouts and what are you excited about?
Just thinking for a minute. Well, I'm very excited for a 3-day residency of Gizzard. Yeah. Let's see what the conflicts are if we go the whole 3 days. Goose are playing, yeah. You're gonna have to give me the lineup now. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Well, let me back track on that for just a second. Then you talked about how, at least in I think it's going to be depending on who you talk to and what area of the world you're talking to people. But you talk about in your circles, a lot of people didn't know what Bonnaroo even really was. Maybe they heard about it, but they didn't really know what it was. What about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard? Do you walk around Dublin and anybody? Oh yeah, that band. Are they? Do they have international name recognition in your community where you live, or is that your little secret gem that nobody knows about?
They're not as well. They certainly are well known in Europe. Yes, they certainly do the UK and Europe, and they mostly do the festival scene. So I think I've never seen them live in Dublin, but I think they did one of our festivals. I think they've done a picnic, which is Electric Picnic, which happens in September.
They're making noise all over the world.
They're making the noise, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not now huge into the headliners this year. I don't.
Yeah, I think that's a common theme with much of us that are still over the moon excited about the festival, which is just a testament to how well they do things.
I'm not a huge Hosier fan, so I won't.
So you're saying Olivia Rodrigo isn't gonna,
or Luke Combs
ain't gonna be the biggest party of the night for you?
No, but I mean, I will have I will have a walk by or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. So will I. So will I.
I mean, one of the big things I love about Bonnaroo, is the different genres of music. Bonnaroo's opened me up to a lot of different music. Yeah.
There you
Yeah, and you're
new
5 years
bands.
you're 5 years in now. You've been on production road. You've come in from every angle,
Yeah.
trying to travel around. You know the lay of the land as anybody from the States here. So that's half the battle. So that's so cool that you know the insides of the entire property now too. So you can just get there and turn it into your playground.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't stressful the last 2 years thinking about it, but the month
Yeah.
before, the first 2 years was stressful, yeah, especially the second year, 22.
Oh, especially coming off a 2-year hiatus, and yeah, of course, yeah,
Sure.
that's wild.
And Marcus
Along
Cake, I've seen
there you
before,
go.
yeah.
Well, along those lines, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, Brian, Russ, and I, because I think it's going to be one of our contest questions. But who is somebody that you maybe had no clue about before you came over to Bonnaroo and went home, and now they're one of your favorites? That's always my sort of thing, is discovery type of thing, especially maybe a genre or something like that that you had no idea. Who are your favorite discoveries from Bonnaroo?
Oh, that's different now. I haven't got the lineups in front of me. Um, I mean, a lot of the bands I mightn't have seen before, but I kind of knew who they were. And I, who,
Put you on the shot.
yeah, you're putting me on the spot now.
Well, I
And
mean, we're gonna cut because I'm gonna ask these guys later, but like Courtney Barnett for me.
You just stole mine, damn it.
I know.
I was actually going to say Courtney Barnett too.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought I had the good one.
Courtney.
As soon as you
I
said
knew
that,
who
I was
she
like,
was,
I got
so,
the
I
one
mean,
right here.
Yeah, Bahamas
she-
for me. Warren Treaty. Those are now on my regular rotation types.
Courtney Barnett, I love. I think that was the first full. No, it wasn't. That Thursday in 2019, the first. Full, I arrived actually during when they used to have the Grand Ole Opry, and the Nude Party was playing next. So that was my first full show, the Nude Party. But they had played. Usually, you'll get one artist that's on Bonnaroo that will actually be in Dublin a month before that. So I always kind of make a point to go. So if there is a clash, I would see them.
Okay.
I remember talking to the Nude Party. I said to them outside the venue in Dublin, and I said, I'll see you in Manchester. And it took him a few minutes. He thought I meant Manchester, the UK, to cop on. Yeah. Yeah, and the next gig was Courtney Barnett. It was in that tent, I think, wasn't it? That blew me away. Yeah, she was great too.
Yeah,
I thought she
rocks.
might be back this year because it's a couple of years since she played.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we-
she's her touring schedule is slowed down the last few years, at least in the States. I don't know what she's doing in Australia and all over the rest of the world, but
Yeah, she hasn't played in Dublin. She has done, I think, a festival, all right.
Do you get out into the plazas at all, or are you strictly you go from hotel to stay in Bonnaroo and watch the shows?
Yeah, the first year, 2019, I went out to the plazas more, actually. I went to Where in the Woods twice, but it was near where the shuttle was as well. I never seemed to make it out. No, it's too much going on.
after a while, the luster wears off the walking miles around the GA campus.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating place to be. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Fascinating place to be. But then in a while, it's like, what stage? 500 acres. I'll go to what stage? Yeah.
It was like, CVC there, the Welsh band they were playing a couple of years ago. They were 23, were they? Or 22. They were out in the plaza as well. They did a show out there, and I'd intended to go there, but
Not
I
the
was
beer.
just-
You don't do the beer exchange or okay.
I'll have to come earlier to do the beer exchange. Yeah, bring a
lot of
few.
fun. I'll get to see a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else, guys?
Boy, I mean, that covers a lot. I appreciate it a lot, Geraldine. I didn't know what to expect here at all, but we sometimes just kind of let the show run and kind of create itself. And thank you so much. It's so cool to have such a different perspective and how well you know everything about it in such a short amount of time. That is really wild to me, and I appreciated it. But I've got about covered everything I need to cover from my end, Barry and Tacos. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I guess, well, you're kind of at a natural advantage because of the time difference, because it's later in the day for you, so you actually are more awake during the late night stuff where we are.
Point.
I, that
It's
was
an
the only thing I
interesting
could think
thought.
of. Yeah.
Good point.
Y- You're kind of already
Oh, you mean
acclimated
when
to
I
staying up
arrive
late.
over there? Yeah.
Yeah, or the
Well,
jet lag.
Yeah.
I've always been a midnight person anyway, and late person. So that is probably my favorite time in Bonnaroo. Be, from the time the headliner and the what stage then, and the whoever's playing on that 11:30, 12 o'clock slot. That's my peak in Bonnaroo. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say, with you not having to wake up in those tents at
Yeah.
6:15 in the morning,
Yeah.
those late nights are going to go a lot harder and a lot more fun. So you've got the recipe. This is a book you could write here on how to do this. I love it. Yeah. Late nights, sleep in, head on back in and spend the day. I
Yeah.
love
The thing
Nice
is, you're quite
air-conditioned
excited.
hotel.
You don't actually sleep that much, even in the hotel. You'd still tend to wake up. You might get in at
Oh no, you just need
5:30 in the
good.
morning, and you wake up like a couple of hours later, and you're off again. You just keep going. I mean, the Monday is tiring. I never
Yeah.
get much done in Nashville, or
No, none of us do. It's just a weekend. Go as hard as you can
Yeah,
without
right.
ruining things. We have whole episodes on this kind of stuff.
Right, right. Real quick, because I meant to ask at the beginning, what's the travel time when you leave your house or whatever? When do you land in Manchester? Is it an all day?
Yeah, I tend to go because it's the time difference. So I tend to go for the afternoon flight from Dublin, which could be around 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday.
Like late morning in the States, yeah.
Which is late morning in the States, and I would tend to get into Nashville at 11 o'clock. So that night, but you have to put in the
Right.
7 hours, 8. I think it's 8 hours during the summer difference. 7. It changes with the clock going forward.
Right.
So I usually arrive in Nashville then around the 11. And the first thing that always strikes me is the heat. Yeah. And even then you have to find where you're staying in Nashville as well. Yeah. This year we're lucky now. We actually now have direct flights starting in April from Dublin to Nashville.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to take out that
And then when
stress of having to change. I would go back to work on the Friday. Yeah, I come back from Nashville on the Wednesday usually, and I arrive in Dublin like 9 o'clock Thursday morning, and then go back to work on Friday. Yeah,
you give yourself some time. Okay,
Mm.
Interesting. All right, Geraldine, thank you so much.
Okay, guys, look forward to it. Hopefully, I'll meet you guys face to face.
We'll have a big reunion. We'll get I Am Bonnaroo. We'll get whoever we need to. We'll go pick out a show and all go together. I mean, I'm dead serious. I'd love to do that. I'd love to talk to you on the phone.
Oh, I'd love to meet you in person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much fun was that?
Man.
I mean, I teased you, Brian. See, I could picture you in a fetal position on the floor with the anxiety of what
I
you
tried
went
to
through.
pretend like it wasn't the case, but
I think
we
you
all
did
know
well.
we all know that I would not be doing well with that.
Golly, I can't even imagine. But she did it, and she comes back.
I only have a couple of stories of all these years of having super real stressful moments. All the time, I stress over things that aren't stressful at all, and boy. Not having a phone for a few minutes. I mean, the phone's not working, and
didn't know how she was going to get back to the hotel.
The meltdown we would have to try to get to, 30 miles away from our home without our phones.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to go to a random place.
If you know us, I mean, if anything goes wrong at Bonnaroo, we just go home. Just pack up and go home because we'll be there in an hour and be like, I can be back in my bed.
It could be just a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, you 2 years ago when they took your meds, right?
Yeah.
You went back home and came back the next day.
I had terrible blood pressure for a few years, and they took my blood pressure medication and my anxiety medication, which, if you know anything about how that works, I thought I was going to have a stroke standing right there. So I was like, turn the car around.
And yeah, came back the next
It's
day.
part of the do's and don'ts. We'll get back to that later on in the
Yeah, there's a way to prevent
spring.
that. We'll get to that.
It's a
Yeah.
very, very easy way to prevent that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So good show. We've got, we're continuing with our contest. We're asking people to fax, phone, send video, or
Email, voicemail.
And we
And-
haven't discussed our added. We have a couple extra
Oh,
prizes.
that's right. We have
too,
some
right?
surprises.
Well, we found out about the year. We talked yearbook last week. We know about that, right? Or no, we haven't talked about
we
that.
haven't really talked about what we're going to do, right? So our contest, we have 2 tickets and a camping pass. That's obviously the big prize, I guess.
The grand prize.
One would say. But Caleb, our guest last week with the Bonnaroo yearbook, has offered to provide one as a gift or a giveaway to somebody. So we're going to add that, and then
The yearbook.
and
Yeah.
then the aforementioned, as I've said, friend of the show, photographer to the stars, David Bruce, I Am Bonnaroo, has given us one of his prints to give away. So we've sweetened the deal quite a bit. I would be happy with any one of those 3 personally.
Yeah, so keep it coming, and we'll
Absolutely.
feature at some point a big collection on the show of a lot of these as well. And
Yes. So even if you've got tickets, even if you're not entering the contest to win tickets, there's a lot of good prizes here that you could also win besides just the tickets. So,
Right.
we still want to hear from you
yeah,
every
if
week.
nothing else, just send us
Yeah.
your TikTok video. You can double it up as a contest entry as well.
Yeah.
Sure, that'll work. Mhm.
And obviously, selfishly, we want feedback, so we want you guys to participate. Russ is going to play a couple of submissions from last week's question,
And what was that again? I
which
can't even
was your
remember.
do-over. What are your do-over shows?
That was a great question.
If you can, a show that you maybe went to, and I'm going to include one that I missed because I was such an idiot, and it was still talked about. But what was the show that you wish you could go back and see again with maybe a better attitude or headspace or whatever? And I'll go ahead and go first because I've got a couple. Beastie Boys is number 1 for me. I knew them, I liked them, but I was not nearly the fan that I am now. And I saw that show.
2009.
That's what I think. It was the same as Springsteen.
Yeah, then that would
which
be
was
9.
another kind of. When I saw it, I wanted hits. If you remember, it was an election year, and I wanted hits. And he did. He stuck with the working man. The whole set was about songs about the working man. I thought it was okay. I wasn't until afterwards, and I kind of thought that was pretty doggone good. But that Beastie Boys, man, it was their last show. Same with
Yeah, I
John
missed it.
Prine when he was there.
Wasn't there?
I dug the John Prine when I was smart enough to know what I was seeing. But the one that I missed because I was so pissed off that they even booked Lionel Richie, I just thought that was the worst booking in the history of Bonnaroo. And I sat in the campsite with my little fists balled up, in some sort of protest. And
I don't
people
remember you said. I don't remember that. I was probably too drunk. I mean,
people
you're
still talk about that set, how fun it was and how great.
Oh, I mean, I don't remember your
I know.
your
I know.
anger towards the booking. I saw the Lionel Richie show from the production TV truck for some reason. I ended up in there, so I watched it from there. That was an interesting
At
point
least
of view.
you saw it, but I mean, I remember telling our friend Evan, who works with AC, I'm like, he's a wedding singer. I said
You're not wrong.
He's the world's best wedding singer, but he's a wedding singer.
Well,
And
I
he's
guess
like,
you are
whatever.
wrong.
It was 90 minutes of sing along hit after another. I wish I'd seen it. So
Dancing on the Ceiling was hard to get out of my head after I saw it. It was pretty neat. I mean, even though I was watching it from a TV truck, but it was pretty cool.
well, those are mine. What was your do overs?
Oh my God! I wish I had done homework on this because I could give you some good ones that I can't think of quickly. If I could redo Neil Young '03, I would. I didn't miss it, but it was done very poorly. It was the second year. It was the first day of the second year, but really the first weekend that I had been.
Gotcha.
So like I jumped the fence the year before in '03. Friday night was Neil Young. It took me all night from Thursday into Friday just to get into the campground to park my car. Too long of a story for this now, but the quick answer would be right now Neil Young '03, because I think I'd been up for like 30 hours and just I was lost. I mean, I was 23 years old, so you can get away with that kind of stuff. But I wish I had a better grip on what I was doing at that time to catch what would have been one of my favorite shows, of this entire century. So that would be my quick first answer. What about you, Taco?
I don't see. I haven't been to as many as y'all have, so I can't really.
And
think
he
of
doesn't
too
miss
many
a
I would
damn
want to
thing.
redo. Yeah.
This guy doesn't miss anything.
I might go just because 2018, I think, Japanese Breakfast. I would want to redo that one just because that was the one they infamously,
I
for
think
some
they would
reason,
want to
couldn't
redo
get
that one.
Well, they couldn't get the
Yeah.
something right, so they ended up sound checking for like an hour.
Yeah, it
By
was
the time
horrible.
they got it all set up and ready to go, she only got to play
Forgot
for a few seconds.
I forgot
20
about
minutes
that.
maybe.
Yeah, that was
So
horrible.
I maybe would
We'll
want to
do a
redo that
whole
just
good
to hear.
long segment on this down the road someday. Maybe in the off season. I could really do. My bad for not having done my homework on that one. But what about? Do we have some entries talking about this very thing?
So yes, we do. It brings us right into our first submission. I'm going to play. This is Lena, who we had I think last week. She submitted one to talk about a show she wants to redo, and I'll let you hear why. So here we go.
Hello again, What Podcast? I definitely had to answer this prompt for this week about what show I would redo from Bonnaroo, because unfortunately there's a very obvious answer for me. It would be the Renee Rapp set from last year, and I actually have quite the story from this set. I'll attach some pictures later, but Renee Rapp is one of my favorite artists, and I decided before Bonnaroo last year that I would try to paint a custom L Word jacket, which is her favorite TV show, for her and get it to her in the pit, because she is known for her fan interaction. So I would redo this show because I got there a little too late, and I found some nice girls that let me sit in the pit line with them so I could definitely get into the pit, but I did not get there early enough to be front and center, and I was on the side of the stage, and I had a sign for her, but it was not quite as clear as it should have been. I don't think she realized I was trying to give her the jacket. So moral of the story, it did not get to her. I made some really great friends along the way, but didn't get to her. Security would not let me give it to them at the end of her set. So I went to Cage the Elephant very sad after that, and decided that I had one final boost of energy in me, went to someone at the gates by the witch stage in the back and begged for them to try and give it to her. They actually let me back into Artist Village, which was a crazy experience. I walked back down there by myself with my jacket on a mission, but about an hour and a half had passed by this time, so Renee had left the show. And I gave it to someone, they took it from me. I found out later that her team was already gone through social media. Don't know where the jacket is now. Worked very hard on it. It's gone. And it was not in the lost and found. So if anyone has seen the jacket, let me know. I'm still looking for it to this day.
As promised, here are the pictures of the jacket that I painted. It kills me to know that it could be in a landfill somewhere, but hopefully someone out there is enjoying it.
Wow, good job.
There you go.
Some
Yep.
guy
So
named
be on the
Larry.
lookout.
Some guy named Larry's wearing that jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good job putting that
That's
together.
awesome.
Yeah, that sucks. There for a minute, I thought that story. I was like, this sounds like it's going to end well. Like this is going to end. She's going to meet her. They're going to go on the tour bus together. And it's like dun 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 dun. Not she loses.
Yeah.
All
That's
right. Well, I'll make you feel even better about yourself, because 2 years ago we interviewed Jim James. They played, My Morning Jacket is one of my all-time favorite newer bands. And late night, 12:30, 1 o'clock, I went back into media, and he was being interviewed for that horrible girl that was doing their interviews.
For Hulu.
Yeah, and he literally walked by me 2 feet, and I didn't say anything.
What were you gonna say? What was it? That
Well,
Brad
but
said
we
to
had just
Billy
talked.
Joel?
Like 10
Good
days-
work.
We had yeah. Hey,
Nice
finger
work.
guns. Hey, you. No, but we had just talked like 10 days before. So I felt like I could have said, "Hey, man, thanks for doing the show." I mean, there was,
Oh yeah,
I
you
just,
totally could have.
froze. I completely froze anyway. So that's the one. That's my, that's mine.
We got anything else?
What
there,
else we got,
Tommy?
Russ?
We got a few more if you want to
Yep.
listen to some more. Okay. This one is Lily.
Hello, my name is Lily, and my opinions on if this year's Bonnaroo lineup is better than the 2020 lineup is honestly, yes, I do think that this year is better than 2020. I didn't personally go in 2020, but just reading that lineup, like, there's obviously some really awesome people on there, like Tame Impala, Lana Del Rey, the ones that I would be most excited for, and Tool, so cool. But honestly, like, there's more people that I'm personally interested in on the 2025 lineup. Like, I feel like there's more, I just feel like it's a better lineup overall. There's more differentiation. I like how much EDM there is. We got Tipper on both of them. Tipper's one of my favorites in EDM. And St. Crompos. I feel like we have just as many big names on this lineup as we do on that one. And yeah, that's what I think.
Cool.
You at Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That
So there's
goes
somebody
back
who
to
agrees
the
with
question
me.
from a couple weeks ago about is this lineup better than the 2020 lineup, which we are still getting just never-ending comments about.
The favorite.
It's a fun conversation to have because
Yeah.
it's a valid debate. It
There's
is
a lot of
valid
arguments
debate.
both ways. Yeah,
Both ways, for sure. All right, you got another one?
sure. If you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do one more.
Okay, we got one more.
What's up, guys? My name is Alejandro Castillo. I went to Bonnaroo in 2012 to 2017. Haven't had the chance to go back, but I would love to go back at some point. So I'm hoping I can win the tickets. My favorite set that I would love to revisit again probably will be Bonnaroo 2012 Radiohead, because that's got to be the best show I've ever seen in my life. Sorry, I'm cooking some dinner in the meantime.
Love it.
And
Multitask.
I really would like to revisit it in some way because I just love the way it just lives in my head and the way to recreate it. It's just kind of impossible. McCartney will be a close second. And I would like to share a little story. My favorite story of Bonnaroo is in 2012, our first year. My friend Dub and I, we were going to go for the first time to a festival. So, we're 19 years old. We're ready to rock, ready to party. So because of the alcohol policy, no glass policy, we were obligated to pour some vodka into empty water bottles that, we were just 19 years old. We didn't know any better.
I see where this is
We
going.
didn't know anything
Yeah.
about Camelbacks. But the plus side is, okay, we can bring the water bottles with vodka into Bonnaroo. So Friday, I believe it was Saturday night, when the Chili Peppers were headlining. And right before the set, we were like the biggest Chili Peppers fans at the time, by the way. We were like rocking our hats, our shirts, wristbands of the Chili Peppers, everything, any kind of merch you can think of, we were like rocking that. So in comes the time, and right before the set, my buddy Dub decides to chug an entire bottle of vodka right before the set. And as the set begins, he keeps chugging that. Well, I had to bring him out of the set with my hand, carry him with my hand over his shoulder out of the set. And once he's done, basically we head over to the Super Jam because we heard something about, oh no, let me backtrack. We went to see Alice Cooper. Now, my buddy was very excited for Alice Cooper, and I just wanted to get his mind occupied. I'm like, yeah, bro, we're going to go see Alice Cooper, so okay. So keep in mind, I'm like dragging him across to the Witch stage, or I believe it was the other tent at the time. It wasn't EDM yet. So he's just out of his mind, blaster, drunk. I have to leave him down, kind of by up on the hill by the picnic tables, just like laying down while I'm looking at Alice Cooper from far away. And I talk to some other guy at the picnic table. Well, the set is over. Everybody is going to the Super Jam. And I heard about the Super Jam, so I'm like, hey, let me go check the Super Jam. I carry my buddy. He's hand over my shoulder. Literally had to carry him across to the other side of the festival. And when we get there, I see a guy on stage playing the piano. I wasn't really sure who it was. Turns out it was D'Angelo. Like his first performance in like 12 years with Questlove and then Harper. So then show's over. Everybody's going to go see Skrillex. As everybody's going to see Skrillex, my buddy wakes up and he's just looking around at everything going on. And he's like, bro, what happened to Alice Cooper? And I just look at him dead in the eye and I go, bro, we just saw him.
Yeah, it was great.
And you were just too plastered to remember anything. So anyway, that's my long story, my favorite story of Bonnaroo. I hope I can be back there this year, especially with free tickets. So thank you.
Hey, thanks,
Awesome.
man.
Yeah.
A couple things on that one.
Yeah, go ahead,
yeah.
Brian. Tell us
Yeah.
about that night.
I wrote it down. You don't have to. I like it. It kind of feels like when you say revisit it, it means it was bad. You don't have to. You can revisit something because it was great, right? Like I'm trying to
True,
think of
man.
what did
Good
I mess
point.
up? What did I mess up? Well, it doesn't
Good
have
point.
to be that.
Yeah. Good point.
So good one on that. The other one is Alice Cooper in 2012. That was the first time I think we spent any much amount of time together, Barry, if I remember
Absolutely.
right. And I don't remember. I remember being told later. I think I introduced myself or said hello or
Yeah.
I love your column.
Yeah, you were very
500
complimentary.
times.
You were very complimentary of the stuff that my wife and I, the cooking stuff.
The
that my
cooking
wife and I did.
the cooking section in the Wednesday
Absolutely.
paper, Times Free Press here locally. And I was bombed out of my freaking mind.
Yes,
and I
you
was
were.
excited for Alice Cooper too. And then it was one of those, like, I thought it went away that it didn't really go. Like, I wake up the next day and that was a pretty fun night. I think it was pretty good. And then it's like, maybe it wasn't.
No, I think you had a good time. I don't remember.
I know I had a good time, but I didn't remember it the way that it actually happened.
Yeah. That was the Red Hot Chili Peppers night.
And that
Alice
was the fake story of me singing,
No,
or I mean
that
the
was-
real
you
story
were
of me singing.
to the microphone, singing into your beer
Anywho.
bottle by the speaker. watching
Enough
it on
about
the-
me. That was a great entry.
That was
buddy.
good.
Thank you.
That was a good
good, yeah.
story. All right, so this week's question, I was thinking, I teased it while we were talking to Geraldine, but I thought, what is a act that you had no idea about beforehand, but came away from Bonnaroo with a new favorite act?
I will do the homework on this into next week and give you better answers, but we already talked about it before, what my initial answer was. It was
For
Courtney
sure,
Barnett.
Courtney
Yeah,
Barnett.
everyone's answer was Courtney Barnett.
Courtney
Yeah,
Barnett.
and Geraldine was talking about Courtney Barnett in 2019. She played about an hour before Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
Mine goes to 2015 when Courtney Barnett played on Thursday
on
night.
that Thursday night, yeah.
And Brad Steiner, our Brad, I hate to give him credit ever, but he was the guy who pretty much told me he knew I would like it,
Yeah.
so he was getting me on that one a lot, but he was getting to everybody on it.
Yeah.
And we all took the bait, and we all went. We were like, all right, Courtney
was right.
Barnett, Jesus, she
Yeah,
is
it was
awesome,
great. It
and
was
she's
great.
one of my favorite acts. If I had to give you 20 of my favorite acts of the last 25 years, she's certainly on that list. She could be top 10. So that's my quick answer.
For sure, my other one, and I'll go ahead and tease it, is Bahamas. Stumbled up on that one and we've got stories regarding Brad in that one too. I've never
We always do.
seen someone. We'll save it for later.
Another day.
But I came and that Bahamas became my Sunday morning go-to music. I mean, it's a great way to start the day and just mellow. I'm like, who is this? So, yeah, that's
What
to
about
me,
you, Taco? You got one that was not at all, and then now love.
Probably Pond 2018, I think. Just stumbled on them, and it turned out they're basically Kevin Parker's backup band for Tame Impala, just without Kevin Parker. So it was not what I was expecting at all. And yeah, I've since seen them, I think, at Shaky Knees, and kind of came away with a big love for that, and kind of introduced me into Tame Impala as well.
Yeah, I'll have to. There's gonna be some caveats to my list as I think back, because there's a lot that, like, Ryan Bingham jumps in my head, like, that I didn't know before, but I still don't hardly care about now. So, like, that list is long, but as far as what I like the question to be better, that you never knew, you went to Bonnaroo, and then now it's a part of your life. It's like the trend on TikTok. What now is a regular occurrence in your life? You got to know what I'm talking about. Sorry, my bad. my bad.
All right, Russ, what else?
Right, well,
I always cut it off before, and you always have something else.
Well, go to thewhatpodcast.com on how you can enter and answer these questions. Baby. Yeah, call to action. Send them in. We've got email or opened up, fax lines, voicemail. You can record a video, send it in, or like Brian said, make a TikTok and just send us the link. We'll watch it.
Yeah, that's easy. Then you knock it out twice. You're already making the TikTok, right?
Oh, I meant to, in response to that last entry, that Radiohead show. That was one of my favorites, and I'll send you a picture, Russ, that I got to be in the photo pit, and I swear to you, Tom York is looking right at me, and
nice.
It's
pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all about, it was a very special moment with Tom York and Barry Corder.
Yeah, we
Did he say he loved your column?
He loved your
with his eyes
recipes?
he did.
Yeah.
With his eyes he absolutely did.
I was at that Radiohead show. I was there.
It was pretty great. All right, guys, thanks so much. It's been a lot of fun.